guys, I probably shouldn't have been that loud. People are sleeping, but oh well. So I asked, I asked a couple of you guys, well, I basically put it on social media that I wanted to do a story time, and a bunch of y'all asked me to do my birth vlog because I have said that I was going to put it out there and I just haven't got to do it. So I'm doing it now. I was about 36 weeks. I didn't make it to, no, 36 weeks, that's too, ooh. I was at 39 weeks, not 36. 36 weeks is the beginning of your, what, 9th month? Something like that. I don't know, remember. It's been 2 years. But it was 39 weeks, and I think I had just turned 39 weeks. I was 38 weeks. I had went to my doctor because after, you know, you're already in your 3rd trimester, around the couple of last weeks when you're about to give, you know, birth, you start going to the doctor weekly. So I was in high school. No, I had already graduated. I graduated high school. It was September. I was supposed to have the baby September 17th. And it was September 9th because they're not open on the weekends. Alexander was born on a Monday, so it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. I'm so sorry, guys. It was a Friday, September 9th, and because every Friday I would go to my checkup. So that Friday, I was telling the doctor, like, hey, you know, I'm having a lot of bad cramps, and he's like, well, your cervix is opening up, so you're basically already dilated. You're already 3 centimeters. I think he told me I was 3 centimeters dilated. And I was like, crap, what am I gonna do? Because I did not want to give birth. I was so scared. I was so scared. And I was just like, so what does that mean? And he was basically like, you're gonna have a baby this weekend, hopefully. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yeah, you are. So are you ready? I was like, no, I'm not. The whole time I was just thinking, crap, the epidural. Like, there's a needle going in my back and I can't move or I'm going to end up paralyzed. So the whole time I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. And then my vagina was just going to open, and it was just, I was so scared. God, what am I going to do? I brushed it off. I was just so scared because I wanted to dilate. I wanted the process to start. I just didn't think, like, wow, 9 months passed by so fast. And those 9 months were so dramatic. Oh, my goodness. I just can't. And I remember that night, I was just getting these really bad pains. So we ended up going to my mom's house. It was that Friday. Right? Yeah, it was that Friday. We ended up going to my mom's house. And the next day, which was a Saturday, my family ended up throwing it on me like a male baby shower, where basically you just bring like diapers and all the guys get together or whatever. So I stayed here, and I remember I had this horrible rash. It was horrible. Like, I could not stop scratching. I could not stop scratching, especially on my thighs. Like, it was just horrible. And I was just having these really bad cramps. And I remember it was a Saturday because Arani and Alexander are literally just a day apart. Arani is born September 11th, and then Alexander was literally born the next day. So I made Arani get up, well, come home. He got home. He didn't want to go get me food. And I was so mad. I was like, you better go get me food or you're going to sleep outside. And so he ended up getting me the best thing in the world, which was my tacos, because a girl loves her tacos. It was 12 o'clock at night. I remember I was watching a movie, and he was asleep, and I made him go get him. And I remember my mucus plug, I had finished eating, and I went to the restroom, and I just, like, peed, and this gooey, bloody stuff came out. And I was like, I know what that is. And to make sure, I Googled it, and yep, it was my mucus plug. It finally all came out, and I was like, hey, crap. So I told everybody, I announced, like, hey, my mucus plug came out. Yeah, I don't know, but things are gonna start rolling. But it's basically, whenever your mucus plug comes out, it's basically it's like a screw. Let's just say it's like a screw, and like it holds the baby and all the water and everything that's in there like together, so it doesn't, you know, fall out. And so when that comes out, that means that your water is gonna break soon and that the baby is gonna start coming. And you can either basically your mucus plug falls out little by little sometimes, or sometimes it just comes all at once, and mine came all at once. And I just remember, like, crap, like, I'm gonna be a mom. And so I finished eating, we all went to bed, and I slept for maybe like an hour. So around 1 or 2, I remember just getting up, and I had to pee like every second. I was just getting up, I'd go to bed, sleep for like, I can literally say it was like for 2 minutes, and I'd go back to the restroom. And I remember this one specific time, I went to the restroom, and it felt like I needed a poop. I'm sorry if this is too much information, but I'm real. I'm gonna say what I went through. So I felt like I needed a poop, and I just remember like my butthole, like it felt like something was coming down, and it just felt so strong. And I guess it was a contraction, but oh my goodness, I held on because it was a good second before that contraction left. I just remember standing up like this on the toilet, and I was like, oh my God. And I have a high pain tolerance, so I just took it. And I want to say around 3 o'clock, I was going back and forth, and it got to a point where I just had to wake up Ronnie, and I was like, hey, you know, I think my water broke, because when I went to the restroom, it didn't felt like I peed. It just felt like water just came out, and it was in the restroom. Like, I was on the toilet, so I was like, crap, how do I know if this is happening or not? And so I told Adani, and then Adani was like, okay, well, we need to go to the hospital. You know, he just wanted me to go to the hospital and have this baby. And I was just like, no, like, I don't want to go. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm just telling you, my water broke. And so he ended up waking up my mom and my sister, and like everybody was just ready to go, and they're like, we need to go, you know, your water broke, because at that time we thought my water did break. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna wait till the contractions get, you know, worse. I'm gonna take it. And he's like, no, you're going now. And I was like, no, I'm not. So we were just fighting back and forth because I refused to go to the hospital. I think it was more like, okay, you're gonna have this baby, you're gonna have to go through the epidural, you're gonna have to, you know, push this baby out of you. And then you're going to be an actual mom. You know, you're not just going to be hosting this baby in your body. You're going to be a mom. And I was just like, okay. So, me, trying to buy some time, I go and I take a shower because, you know, you got to be clean, you know, everywhere, because you're about to have this baby. You're not going to shower for like 2 or 3 days. So, everybody was mad at me because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. They wanted to sleep. They wanted to take me to the hospital, and I just wasn't budging. I needed to take my shower. So I took a shower, we ended up leaving, and then that's when the contractions hit. My mom was driving. I remember we were going on the freeway, and I just felt like this excruciating pain go from my back to my stomach. And I literally wanted my mom to stop the car because it hurted like crap. It was so bad.
God, dog, this hurts. Okay, now I know what you mean. Now I know what you mean.
Hey, you're lucky we're not going in my truck. My truck, you would have been like,
Shut up!
And so we ended up going. Adani was recording the whole time. I don't even know if we have that video, but he was recording the whole time, and my mom was so mad because he had the flash on, and I was just so irritated. I was just cursing. I was so mad, guys. And we finally get to the hospital. They take, you know, what's wrong with me, because we have to go to the emergency room. And they ended up, you know, telling me, like, okay, well, we're going to take you up and see what's going on. Because this wasn't the first time that I was in the hospital before, because before I did have these excruciating pains, and they did tell me that they were just Braxton Hicks. So I thought that's what it was again. I thought my water had broke, and it was just Braxton Hicks. Like, it was just, I didn't think it was going to happen. So they take me up to the labor and delivery room, whatever, you know, the nurse, you know, the place where they help pregnant women. And I was there for a couple hours. They ended up checking me, seeing how much I was dilated. And they're like, no, you're 4 centimeters. We're going to have to keep you. My face was just like, what? Like, no, just send me home. Like, I'll be fine. And they made me sign a whole bunch of documents. And Adani was just, you know, telling his mom, like, hey, you know, we're going to have a baby tonight. And remember, I wasn't talking to my mother-in-law at that time. So I didn't really, you know, want her to be there. So Adani just ended up saying, like, you know, just stay and we'll let you know what happens. So around, I want to say 7 o'clock, I finally went down to the birth and delivery room. And they put me in that room. And they gave me this, I think it's called Pitocin. They gave me Pitocin and they basically said, okay, well, these are the side effects. You know, you're going to be wanting to throw up. It's going to induce your contractions. And you're probably going to feel a little bit of thirsty or something like that. They said something like that. And I just remember it was 7 o'clock. I had this very nice nurse, and around 7:30, I think her shift ended. So whenever she gave me that medicine, I was like, I could take it, you know, I'm fine. And literally when she left, I felt like throwing up. Like, it was just, it felt so disgusting. And then I'm pregnant, like I was huge, and I had to throw up, and they gave me this bag. And I had to throw up in the bag. And, like, I don't want to throw up in a bag. Like, I want to throw up in the toilet. And I was all connected. They had that thing around my belly to check, you know, the baby's heartbeat. And I just remember whenever I turned to throw up in the bag, I guess I turned too fast. And Alex went inside my ribs. And, oh, my God, I felt like I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. Like, he was just right there. And I remember taking off all the cords. I tried taking off the heart monitor, and I was going like ballistic. And I wanted to throw up in the toilet like a decent human being, not in a bag. And I just remember this mean nurse coming. She's like, hey, sit down. And I was like, I need to throw up. I'm in pain. Like, I just need to go to the restroom. She's like, you're having a baby. What else do you think you're going to be in? And I looked at her and I was like, I know I'm having a baby. Like, I literally sat there and argued with this nurse. I was like, I know I'm having a baby. I was like, I'm in pain. I was like, he's in my ribs. I just want to go throw up. And she's like, no, you know, it's going to pass, whatever. We're going to give you some medicine for that. And I was just so angry. Like, I hated that nurse. And I'm just there and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And I just have this urge to throw up. And nobody was listening to me. And that's when the contractions really started kicking in, and I have a very high pain tolerance, so I made it to exactly 7 centimeters. They kept telling me, like, do you want the epidural, do you want it? And I didn't want it. Like, I could handle it. It hurted, but it didn't hurt to the point where I needed, you know, I couldn't take the pain. So I lasted until, like, maybe 7 centimeters, and then I started worrying because it was maybe 12 o'clock, and they said I should have had the baby by 1. And so they sat me down and they said that the baby wasn't dropping. So he was there, but he just wasn't dropping to the point where I needed to push. So they sat me down and I was already at 10 centimeters and the baby just wasn't dropping. And so that's when I started getting worried because I do not want a C-section. There's nothing wrong with C-sections. It's just I did not want to be cut open. I did not want that scar on my stomach. I wanted to do it naturally. If it was going to be any damage, I'd rather it be down there, you know what I'm... Sorry. And so, the doctor ended up... Well, not the doctor, the nurse. She was like, okay, you know, the baby's heart rate is... And I'm telling her, like, I'm in pain. She's like, okay, well, we're going to give you some medicine for that. And they did. They gave me some type of medicine that just had me all kinds of woozy.
Bothers you because you're on the pillow. Hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, man. Hey, so, who ate my brownies?
I don't know.
That was you.
I have my own brownies.
You ate your own brownies?
Why would I want your brownies?
Because they had powdered sugar on them.
Your brownies are bad brownies.
They're your brownies.
My brownies are good brownies. My brownies don't break the law.
Oh, I get it. Oh. Oh. You got me. Oh, man. Oh, how dare you. Are you ready for Alex?
No.
No?
I'm not ready.
Are you gonna cry?
Yeah.
When he's next to you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a little human that I made and he's on side me.
Are you gonna be happy?
No.
And I just remember, you know, arguing with Ronnie, apologizing to my mom because I felt like I was on drugs and I was just an emotional wreck, and I was just apologizing to my parents for getting pregnant and for going through this, and they're just like, what is going on? I was just an emotional roller coaster. And once they gave me that woozy kind of drug, I was just out there. And I just started feeling the contractions even more. And so I made it until 7 centimeters, and then they ended up saying, okay, well, do you want the epidural? Because, you know, you're kind of wasting your time here. And I was like, okay, give it to me. So I made it to around 7 centimeters, which is like pretty big. It's like your kuha opens up pretty big. And she was all like, okay. So I was so scared. I had nobody in the room with me. It was just me and that mean nurse. And I just remember her telling me to sit down and to not move, because if I move, I can get paralyzed. So I'm sitting there, and literally it felt like a bee sting. Like, I was like, after she was done, I was like, I was still on drugs, so I was like, they should pay you in gold because you did such a great job. And I was just telling her how this woman should get paid in gold and they should give her a promotion. She's probably looking at me like, what an idiot, like, you're so doped up. And I'm like, now that I'm sitting here thinking, like, crap, I really was doped up. And so they gave me the epidural and I'm good, and they say that I should have the baby. And I was like, okay. Well, whenever they checked me if I was dilated the full 10 centimeters. The baby just hadn't dropped. And so they said, if the baby doesn't drop, we're going to have to give you a C-section. So I was like, crap. So I literally tried pushing. I tried doing everything that I could. And so they sat me up, and I'm just there like, crap. And like an hour passed by, and then they ended up telling me like, okay, well, let me check you again. So they checked me. Baby had dropped. But the only thing, guys, guess what? Comment down what you think I'm going to say. Only thing was, my doctor had rushed into emergency C-section. So here I am already ready to push and deliver my child, and my doctor isn't here. So we're waiting and we're waiting, and the baby's heartbeat starts dropping. And she's like, okay, well, we're going to need to try and push because your baby's heartbeat is dropping. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm just scared out of my mind, but there's no turning back now. Like, your baby's gonna start coming out. So they put my legs on the little thingies, and I'm just there, and I'm pushing and I'm pushing and I'm pushing out through my butt. And so I'm pushing, and then it was something that I'm never gonna forget. Like, you moms, if you know, like, you never forget your whole birth vlog, for birth story. Like, you don't forget that. And I just remember I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and I have Adani just telling me like, push, 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 and he's just screaming at me, and I'm just like, dude, like, I'm having a baby. And I know he was trying to be helpful by telling me to push harder and harder, but I have these contractions. I'm pushing out a baby that feels the size of a watermelon out of this little hole, and you're here constantly telling me to push when you're not going through it. So I literally just hated him at that moment. I wanted to just rip his throat out because I just wanted to concentrate. And the whole time I have family coming in and out and telling me like, okay, well, you know, hey, you know, how are you doing? And I'm just like, oh my God, like, my whole family is watching me, you know, with my vagina all open. And at that moment, I really didn't care. Like, whoever saw it. Like, I was in so much pain after a while. And I just remember right whenever I was pushing, they tell me, okay, well, you can only have 3 people. So I had my sister, I had my mom, and I had Adani. Well, my mother-in-law ended up walking in, and then they ended up saying, okay, well, you can't be in here. And then Adani was like, well, that's my mom. And so they allowed her to be in there, and I was just so mad because, I mean, I didn't have to go through all that I went through if I would have just told my parents by myself, but whatever. So she was in there, and I was upset, and I just didn't care. Like, I was upset, but whatever. Like, being here, I do not care. Like, I'm giving birth, and it hurts. It hurts to push. It hurts to move. I was so mad. Like, anybody that knows me knows I have a nasty temper. Like, you do not want to see me when I was giving birth because I was a horrible person. And so I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and the doctor still isn't coming, and I'm not pushing correctly. I don't even know what correctly is. I had to push through my vagina, and I was just like, what the heck? So I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and literally I was there for like about an hour just pushing, and I'm passing out. So I push, I give it all my energy, and I literally just pass out. Like, I just kept coming in, and like literally after every contraction would pass, it'd be like a second, and I'd have to push again, and I was just so tired, and all I could eat was ice chips. That's it. I couldn't drink anything. And anybody that knows I was giving birth, like, you get so thirsty. Like, it's like you're in the desert and you haven't had water in days. Like, I was just so thirsty. And I couldn't drink anything. I couldn't eat anything. It was just ice chips. I couldn't even drink the water from the ice chips. It was just ice chips. And so I was so mad because I was passing out. I couldn't drink anything and I had to push out this baby. And then I say around 4:45, the doctor comes in and he's like, okay, are you ready to push? And literally I don't know if it was because that lady had told me how to push or I was just ready for this to get going because I was already pushing for an hour. But literally the doctor came in and he came in so peaceful, like, okay, like, are we ready to have this baby? And he was just so calm, and I really like that doctor. He comes in, you know, he's like, okay, well, we're gonna push. And literally 3 pushes and he was out. And he's like, okay, well, with the third push, my last push, he's like, okay, if he doesn't come out with this one, we're going to have to cut you. So basically, they had to cut me down there. And so I was like, oh, heck no. So I pushed as hard as I could, and I tore. I freaking tore. So I had to push him out, and then I just see him, and my world stops. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I don't even feel any pain down there anymore. It's just like, I just had a baby. And literally once I pushed him out, I just felt this relief. It was like, oh my God, like, I'm so done. And then they tell me, okay, well, now it's time to push the placenta. And I'm like, what? The placenta? What? You push that out? Like, I thought it just comes out with the baby. And they're like, no. And guys, literally, they sat there and they pushed on my stomach. Like, I never seen that in birth stories. I never seen that in the movies. Like, you don't see, like, you see the baby come out and then that's it. You know, you grab him, whatever. No. You have the baby, and after, you know, the baby's gone, they cut the umbilical cord. They start pushing on your stomach while you're pushing to make sure that you get all the blood out, that you get all the placenta, the blood clots, like, just to make sure you're good. And oh my God, I wanted to punch that nurse in the face. You do not know how much that hurted. And after they ended up pushing out the placenta, that thing looked like an alien. I pushed him out. I pushed out the placenta, and then they had to sew me up. I literally took like 3 stitches. I think that's all it was, because I tore. And I seen the baby, and it was skin on skin, and they said that I could have him for like an hour because then he needed to go and eat. And I held him, and I was like, oh my God, like, this baby is mine, you know? And immediately I held him, and I gave him away. Like, I didn't want to hold him. And I don't know what it was. I felt so bad. Like, I felt so guilty because here I am having this baby and I'm married, you know, I'm doing good now. I have my own place, I can provide, but it was more like I let my family down. You know, that's all that was going through my head is like, now I'm a mom, you know, now I have to show my face. And I've always been a fighter. Like, I'll fight for what I believe in. That's just me. You know, whether I'm wrong, whether I'm right, I'm going to show my face. And just this was different. This was like crap. You know, I have my tail between my legs. Like, it was just so embarrassing. That's what I felt in that moment. And so I gave him away. I didn't want to hold him. They took him away. They took him to go get his shots because I just didn't want to be around him. And I remember, you know, my mom just telling me, like, it's going to be okay, you know. And, guys, they do not tell you this because I had a catheter in my hoo-ha, like, because I needed a pee and I was on the epidural, so I had a catheter in there. And the baby had went to go take his shots. Everybody had left to the other room because I was already going to go up to where I'm supposed to be. I was done giving birth, and I remember the nurse telling me, okay, well, we're going to remove the catheter and you're going to need to try to pee. And I'm just there like, what? They never told me this. Like, they never told me that I was going to need to do this. And she ended up taking out the catheter, and it just felt so weird. Like, it just felt really weird. And I was starting to be able to walk again, you know, because I was getting full motion on my legs again. And I couldn't pee. And she's like, it's okay, you know, and I just felt so mad because she told me, if you can't pee, we're going to have to stick it in, and you're going to have a bag next to you because you can't pee yet. And so I tried really, really hard, and I was there for like a good 5 minutes. And they do not tell you, like, literally, my mom told me, like, after that, she's like, you see, nobody's here. You know, it's just you. Everybody leaves because once you have the baby, they all want to see the baby, but what about you? And so, yep, there I was down there all by myself. I had my mom, and, you know, that's all I need, but, like, Jesus, you know. And so I was there by myself with my mom, and I'm there just trying to pee, and I'm trying to pee, and, like, nothing was coming out, and I was just starting to get really stressed. And the lady told me, it's okay, you know, just give it some time. You know, when you go back to your room, just let me know if you use the restroom. And I totally had forgot about it, and I get Alex, and he's just so tiny, and he's so perfect. And I held him, and it was beautiful. Like, I can't express to you how proud I was that was my son. Like, all those worries and all those thoughts in my head and how embarrassed I was and just everything, it just flew out the window. And I held him. And they're like, well, are you going to want to breastfeed or are you going to want to bottle feed? And I chose breastfeeding. And he latched on so good. Like, he did not have any problems. It was like he was a natural. Like, I held him. He breastfed off of me. And it was just wonderful. Like, I cannot explain to you how great everything was. My pregnancy, personally, with just me, it was just wonderful. Like, I did not have any problems. He's been a good baby all around, even through my birth. Like, he wasn't even the problem. It was the doctors and me being stubborn that I didn't want to go to the hospital. So yeah, guys, that was basically my birth vlog, story time type of thing. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below if you want to hear any more story times, because I really like doing them. I just like sharing my whole business with y'all, like whatever. And if you have any questions, if you're a mom that's, you know, expecting, don't feel free to, you know, let me know, because I got you. Like, I probably didn't share everything. I'm not sure. I don't remember right at this moment, but don't forget to subscribe. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your boyfriend, tell your sister, tell whoever the heck, tell a hobo who has a YouTube account to come and subscribe my way. And I hope you turn on your post notifications so you can be part of that post notifications gang. And I'll see you next time on Cassandra Vlogs. Good night, guys.
I don't mean to frustrate, but I always make the same mistake.